Hello everyone, I'm Unsung, the hopefully helpful NPC, continuing to guide you here on your journey across RPG games. I hope you're ready to shoot the shit because today we are talking about ranged attack characters. So, ranged attack characters. This isn't just bow users, by the way. Okay, bows are just, the usual thing you think of, right? But it's not just bows, because with ranged attackers, there's so many different things that you can do here. First of all, there's your Alchemist, which tosses bombs. So that is a ranged attack character and benefits from some of the ranged attacking feats, but it does work differently than bows, obviously. We've also got in here, fighters can make good ranged attackers if you just do the basic fighter and specialize in that weapon category. You could also do thrown weapons, and when you take your weapon training, you can focus on thrown weapons. That's a good strength-based ranged attacker if that's what you're looking for. Inquisitors can make excellent ranged attackers, and with the added bonuses of various teamwork feats, can make deadly ranged attackers. Kineticist, we will get to at the end of the video. I think Kineticist is something that we might take a look at separately just because it is very confusing as a class. But what else do we have here? We have Magus Eldritch Archer. So instead of being a sworded spell, you can be a bow and spell, which is pretty cool, actually, being able to deliver spells that way. There's the Divine Hunter, which grants you some archery bonuses here, including being able to start with Precise Shot, which is an unbelievable benefit. There's obviously Rangers, right? Rangers are kind of the go-to. Rogues can make good archers. Slayers can make very good archers. With the sneak attack and the study targets, Slayers can be very deadly. And then if you really want to mix it up, there's Arcane Bomber, where they have Spell Blast Bombs, which is an interesting thing that I haven't played around with too much. So if you have, feel free to let me know what that's like, because I've heard some mixed things about it. Alright, so going into these different classes here, I do want to say for the Kineticist, there are different things that you're focusing on, but they do benefit from a few of the ranged attack feats. So there are some ranged attack feats that the bombers, the Kineticist, and other characters might benefit from, or thrown weapon characters, but not all of them. So we will take a look at how that works. In the skills. Okay, when making a ranged attack character, I think the easiest thing you can do is dex-based, right? Because using a bow, a crossbow, throwing a bomb, all of that, the attack roll is going to be your ranged attack roll, which is based on dexterity. So dexterity is a crucial stat to keep up with when making any type of ranged character. Even for kineticists, even for bombers. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. Whatever stat you want on top of that is up to you. If you're a thrown attacker, or you want to use composite bows, strength can be a great secondary stat for you, because you get to add your strength to your damage, which is a nice little bonus there for some bonus damage, because normally ranged weapons don't add anything to damage. You don't add your dexterity to damage here. But with thrown weapons, you can add your strength to damage, and with composite bows, you get to add your strength. So that's a very cool feature. If you have a low strength, don't bother with composite bows, because they will take your penalties for strength if you have a negative strength modifier. and that's not what you want. If you're a kineticist, depending on what kind of kineticist you are, constitution could be important, intelligence could be important. Those are, based on which kineticist you are, will affect your damage output. For example, Dark Elementalist uses intelligence. Psychokineticist, I believe, uses wisdom. Yep, wisdom. And regular and kinetic knight both use constitution. So if you're going to be a kineticist of either of those any of those varieties, those are the stats you're going to want to pump beside dex: constitution, intelligence, or wisdom. Now, I've said this in various videos and I'll say it again. I'm not a big min-maxer. I like having like my one key stat pretty high, and maybe I'll like take 2 points out of a stat that I don't really care about. But for all intents and purposes, I like being well-rounded. I like having a high dex no matter what. I like having a high con no matter what. I like having a high wisdom no matter what if I can. Even if that means just putting 12 into each of those or something. As long as I've got some points in some things, in my various things, that's the kind of character that I like to build. If that's what you're into, there's a lot of opportunity in this game to do that and still be successful throughout the whole game. I think my character that I played last time, I took some points out of strength and put a few points into like each of the other stats, and I had a very successful run through through the game. So unless you're playing on like hard or unfair, you don't really need to min-max at all. If you are playing on hard or unfair, min-maxing, they recommend it just because it's a very difficult game when you get to that level. But I mean, if you ever watch Code Carnage play, I think he played this on hard, and he didn't min-max. He just he made his character the stats that he wanted to have fun with, and he had a great run. So it can be done. For skills, anything dex-based, I mean, you can just go for it, right? I recommend always skills that you have class skills marks in for those bonus points, but like stealth, mobility are great for ranged characters to have. Whatever suits your type of character in terms of what stats you have and what's a class skill is always the way to go. But it's also fun to mix things up. You know, how cool would it be that your ranger is the one who is in charge of all of your arcana, right? If that's the kind of character you want to play. I think there's lots of ways to have fun with it. So experiment a little. See what works best for you in terms of party composition. I will be releasing videos at some point about the different companions and what they're bringing to the table. So if you keep an eye out for those, then you can use those to help you figure out what skills you'd want to do so that you know what skills aren't being taken into consideration. All right. So feats, right? Feats. Ranged attackers, their feats are really straightforward. So if you can get 2 feats in the beginning, awesome. If you can't, that's okay. Point blank shot is a great feat to start with because it gives you a +1 to attack and damage when within 30 feet, and it opens up the opportunity to you then taking precise shot, which you need because normally when you shoot into combat, where like if you have 2 swords people like fighting and you shoot into that combat, you're taking a -4 to your attack roll to see if you hit. So precise shot makes it to where you get rid of that penalty and you can just shoot into combat, no problem. It's a much needed feat for any ranged character trying to make it. Both of these feats are great for also bombers or thrown weapon users. Both of those characters can benefit, especially point blank, because when you're throwing bombs or weapons, you're going to be within 30 feet most of the time anyway. I don't think most of those weapons will be able to reach more than 30 feet. So that's really good to have. And even going as far as to take point blank master eventually to further, because if you're closer to the enemy, you're more likely to get next to enemies, and point blank master makes it to where you don't take attacks of opportunity when doing ranged attacks again while next to melee fighters, which is really, really nice when making a fighter that, or making a ranged character that is so close up in the combat. So some other ones that are great, throw anything. I think Alchemist comes with throw anything. Maybe Arcane Bomber does too. Um, but throw anything's a great one if you're throwing bombs or throwing vials and flasks and stuff like that. Really great, useful feat there. Deadly Aim. Deadly Aim is usually one of the ones I take later, just because it gives you significant penalties to your attack rolls. And honestly, there are some people that you fight that I wouldn't even want to use it on because their ACs are so high already that it already makes it a challenge. But if you feel like getting some extra damage on your rolls and care more about the damage, this is a great feat. I'm not a big fan because I prefer consistent hits over damage any day of the week, but if you prefer the high damage, get them in one shot, maybe kind of hits, then Deadly Aim is your way to go. Alright. Let's see. Rapid Shot is a great feat. Rapid Shot allows it to where if you're not moving and you're just making a full attack with a ranged attack weapon, then you will be able to fire one additional time. Alright, and take penalties. You'll take penalties to all of your attack rolls, but it's only a -2, and you'll be able to get an extra shot in. That's a fun feat. If you can mitigate the penalty in any way, that is really nice just to get a free extra shot, especially when you pair it with a feat called Hammer the Gap. Because there's a feat called Hammer the Gap where the more hits you have against that enemy, the better it's going to be for you. So let's take a look here at Hammer the Gap. Hammer the Gap, repeatedly striking the same location. So when you make a full attack, each consecutive hit against the same opponent deals extra damage, equal to the number of previous consecutive hits. So if you're just pelting someone down with arrows, Hammer the Gap is awesome because you're just stacking that damage on top. One of my favorite feats, one that I feel like is often overlooked and underrated. Hammer the Gap. Alright, so going on, if you're a bomber, right now I'm going to tell you, ability focus bombs. +2 to the DC for all saving throw against your bombs, no matter what kind of bomb it is. Because Alchemist, you can have different kinds of bombs. So I would take ability focus bombs for sure. For sure. Clustered shots. Clustered shots is when you use a full attack action to make multiple ranged weapon attacks against the same opponent. The total damage from all hits before applying the opponent's damage reduction. So basically, if you're fighting someone that has a damage reduction, which there are a number of creatures that do, and it has, I don't know, like damage reduction 10, like DR 10, that means that it's going to take 10 points off of each shot. But a clustered shot, which requires point blank and precise beforehand, makes it to where instead you total the damage from all of your shots and then do the damage reduction. So you're getting in a lot more damage. So if you're doing 50 shots in a round of combat, that's 50 damage you're not hitting because it's DR 10 for each shot. Cluster shot makes it to where you'd only miss out on just the 10 damage and you're getting that other 40 damage that you would have missed out on. So cluster shots is a must-have. Fantastic feat right there. I said this with the strength fighters as well, but critical focus and improved critical are great feats to have just because confirming crits and having better chances of getting those critical hits are key when you're making any type of combat character. So I definitely suggest those as well. Honestly, blind fight might be better, more beneficial for a ranged attacker than a melee fighter. So if you want to think about that and then get greater blind fight, that might be a or I think there's improved blind fight as well. Those could be useful if you have the extra feats. Weapon focus, weapon specialization, and then greater weapon focus and greater weapon specialization. Fantastic feats for any type of character that allows you to specialize in a weapon. Always recommend for those types of characters, so that's something that you could look into as well. Many shot. So many shot requires rapid shot first, and then makes it to where your first attack with a full attack action is fires 2 arrows. So you're not making an extra attack. Even better, you're having an attack that just hits twice. So 1 attack roll, success, hits twice. That is an awesome feat to have, and you get to stack things with it. So Composite Bow strength damage, any ranger to favor enemy bonus, any of that stuff also adds in to the many shot hits. So both arrows will benefit from both of those types of bonuses. Great feat right there. It makes it to where you get an extra hit without having to risk an extra attack roll, which is just fantastic. As I said already, Point Blank Master, great feat here. And then honestly, any combat character can take Vital Strike. It's a standard action. I don't know. I don't try to use it for ranged characters because I just like to have my ranged characters just shooting in the background while I focus on controlling other characters. And Vital Strike is a feat where you have to activate it. So I feel like it's better used for melee fighters, but if you want to find a way to make it work, then I'd say go for it. Get creative, people. That's always a fun way to play. So, like I said, these ranged fighters, they're so straightforward. Like, Ranger, you've got different bonuses in here, but I'm making class videos, so we'll get into the class stuff specifically later, another time. But like I said, they're very straightforward. You're pretty much just going down the line of ranged combat feats. You might as well just take them all. They're going to have more than enough feats to do so, even if you want to stack critical things. If you want to try and do something else, I think ranged combat fighters are great characters to do skill focuses in. If you want to do the skill focus feat, I think those are excellent to take as well. Just being able to focus in on any skills that you have for these characters, any feats related to different skills or toughness, or anything for your saving throws if you find that you're lacking in a saving throw or two. Like maybe you don't have enough will or don't have enough fortitude, then you'll be fine. You should have plenty of reflex because ranged attackers need dexterity to be successful. So those will already be reflex improved. But that's all I really have to say about these ranged characters. They're very straightforward, like I've said. So if you're looking into making a ranged character build, I think there are more ways to have fun with them than people give them credit for. I think there are cool ways to be creative, especially since a lot of these classes have different powers that go along with it, which I think makes it more fun and interesting. So those are things to look out for. But yeah, other than that, feat-wise, they're really straightforward. So if you are a new Kingmaker player, welcome to one of the greatest games ever. And I hope that this video helped you figure out kind of, exploring the ranged characters and what they can do. If you're a veteran player, I hope this maybe gave you some new ideas or maybe a fresh perspective that you didn't already have. It's always good to have looking at videos to kind of see what else is out there. I will be doing videos about each individual class. That's coming up soon, and I will be putting those out, so make sure to be looking out for those. If there's any specific class you're looking forward to learning about, Kineticist especially is going to be a very involved video because, as you can see, there's a lot going on here. So that's going to be something to look forward to. If you're interested in a strength build, a dex melee fighting build, or a spell casting build, I have videos for that as well as the video for the mechanics and basics of this game as a whole. So feel free to watch those and maybe you'll learn something new or just have the fun, exciting energy reinvigorated into you, because that's what I'm trying to do here. So that's all for this one. I will see you guys next time. I am UnsungNPC, and I hope that my tips and advice have been helpful and to your liking. See you guys later.